They said the Alpha King was untouchable, that his presence alone could bring grown warriors to their knees, that his power was absolute, that nothing in this world could harm him. But when Nessa stood before his chamber door and felt the wave of agony rolling off him like heat from a fire, she knew the truth. The most powerful Alpha in the realm was dying. And somehow, impossibly, she was the only one who could feel it. Dear reader, find a quiet moment. Because this is a story of two broken souls, one dying from a shattered bond, one gifted with the curse of feeling everyone's pain. And when their worlds collided, they discovered that sometimes the only way to heal is to break open completely. In the Shadowpine Kingdom, the mate bond was sacred law written into the very fabric of existence. When the moon goddess blessed two souls with recognition, they were meant to accept it, claim it, build their lives around it. To reject a fated mate was to reject the moon herself, and the consequences were always fatal. Rejection sickness, the healers called it, a slow death where the rejected Alpha's body turned against itself, unable to process the severed bond. First came the pain, then the weakness, then the slow shutdown of every system until nothing remained but an empty shell. Most didn't last 6 months. King Harold Thornridge had been suffering for 2 years, and Nessa could feel every moment of his agony from 3 floors away. Before we continue, please hit the subscribe and like button and tell me which city you're tuning in from. I love to know where this story found you. Now back to the story. Nessa had been born with a gift the other Omegas called a curse. She was an empath. Every emotion within 50 feet crashed into her like waves. Joy, fear, rage, grief. She felt it all as if it were her own. As a child, she'd nearly drowned in the constant flood. As an adult, she'd learned to build walls. But some pain was too strong for walls. He's asked for you specifically. The royal advisor, an older beta named Marcus, led her through corridors lined with worried servants. The king rarely speaks anymore, but this morning he woke and said your name. We don't know how he even knows you exist. Nessa knew. Empaths could sense each other across distances, and if the king's pain was strong enough, he'd felt her gift, felt her like a beacon in his darkness. I'm just a village healer, she said softly, though her hands trembled. Surely the royal physicians have tried everything. Marcus stopped before ornate double doors. Miss Nessa, I won't lie to you. Our king is dying. If you can ease his suffering even for a moment, the kingdom would be in your debt. He didn't wait for her answer, just pushed open the doors and gestured her inside. The pain hit her like a physical blow. Nessa gasped, her knees buckling, her carefully constructed walls shattering under the weight of it. Heartbreak, anguish, loss so deep it had carved canyons through his soul, and underneath it all, the steady throb of physical agony as his body slowly failed. Breathe. A voice, rough, strained, barely human. I know it's overwhelming. She forced her eyes open and looked toward the massive bed dominating the far wall. King Harold Thornridge sat propped against pillows, and he was nothing like she'd imagined. She'd expected the powerful warrior from the portraits, the fierce Alpha who'd unified 3 territories. Instead, she saw a man wasting away, too thin, his skin pale, his dark hair falling limp around a face carved with pain. But his eyes, forest green and burning with stubborn life, those were still a king's eyes. You're an empath, he said, not a question. You feel it. What they did to me. She struggled to speak through the crushing weight of his emotions. Yes, Your Majesty. Harold. His lips twisted in something that might have been a smile once. If you're going to feel every broken piece of me, you should probably use my name." Nessa took a shaky step closer, her healer's instincts warring with her survival instincts. To touch him, to truly connect with someone in this much pain, would be like drowning in an ocean of grief. But he was dying, and she'd taken an oath. "What happened to you?" she asked softly. His laugh was bitter. "What happens to every alpha stupid enough to believe in fated mates? Mine rejected me. Publicly. Completely. She looked me in the eyes and said she'd rather die than be bound to me." He met Nessa's gaze. "And then she ran. Left me here with half a bond that's been trying to kill me ever since." 2 years? Nessa whispered, understanding now. "You've been fighting this for 2 years. Fighting. Dying. Hard to tell the difference anymore." He shifted, and she saw him wince with pain. "The healers say there's no cure, that rejection sickness always wins. But I felt you, little empath. Felt your gift from across the kingdom. If anyone can ease this, it's you. I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not asking for a miracle." His voice dropped, rough with desperation and something else, something that made her breath catch. "I'm asking for a moment of peace. 1 hour where I'm not drowning in this. Can you give me that?" She moved closer, drawn by the raw honesty in his voice. No king's mask, no pretense. Just a man in pain asking for help. "If I touch you," she said carefully, "I'll feel everything you feel. Every moment of heartbreak, every second of physical pain. It could overwhelm me, break me." "I know." His hand stretched toward her across the silk sheets, trembling. "I wouldn't ask if I wasn't desperate. But Nessa..." Her name on his lips sent an unexpected shiver through her. "I'm so tired of hurting. And you're the first person in 2 years who's looked at me like I'm still human instead of a dying king." Their eyes held. In his, she saw exhaustion and pain, but also something fierce and alive, something that refused to surrender. In that moment, she made her choice. Nessa crossed the remaining distance and placed her hand in his. The connection slammed into her like lightning. She felt it all. The rejection that had torn through him like claws, the phantom sensation of a bond being ripped away, the endless ache of an incomplete mating mark on his soul. But underneath the pain, she felt something else. Something warm and wondering and achingly grateful. He was feeling her too. Her compassion, her determination, her gift reaching out to soothe the ragged edges of his broken bond, like cool water on burns. "How?" His voice cracked as tears streaked down his face, the first he'd shed in months. "How are you doing this?" "I don't know." Her own eyes stung. "But I can feel it working. The pain, it's easing." His hand tightened on hers. "Don't let go, please. Not yet." "I won't." The words came out like a vow. "I'm right here." As the minutes passed and his pain slowly dulled to a manageable ache, Nessa realized something that terrified her. This connection went both ways. She wasn't just absorbing his emotions. He was feeling hers too. Her worry for her sick brother, her loneliness, her secret fear that her gift made her too broken to ever be loved. And he was looking at her like every broken piece made her beautiful. "You're in pain too," he whispered. "Not physical, but it's there. You carry everyone else's burdens and never let anyone carry yours. That's not... I'm fine." "Liar." His thumb brushed over her knuckles. "I can feel the weight you carry, Nessa. And it's crushing you just as surely as rejection is crushing me." No one had ever seen her that clearly, ever looked past the gift to the girl beneath. "We're both dying," she said softly. just in different ways. Then maybe. His eyes held hers, and despite the pain, despite everything, she saw hope kindle there. Maybe we save each other. Nessa stayed with him through the night. Not because Marcus asked her to, or because duty demanded it, but because every time she tried to pull her hand away, Harold's pain spiked so violently it drove her to her knees. They were connected now. Somehow, impossibly, her gift had woven itself into his broken bond, creating a temporary bridge that kept the worst of the rejection sickness at bay. "You need to rest," she said softly as dawn light crept through the windows. "Your body is exhausted. So is yours." His voice was stronger now, no longer that hollow rasp. "I can feel it, remember? You've been absorbing my pain for hours. It's draining you." She couldn't deny it. Her head pounded. Her chest ached with phantom heartbreak, and every breath felt heavy. But compared to what he'd been enduring for 2 years, it was nothing. "Tell me about her," Nessa said quietly. "Your mate. The one who rejected you." His jaw clenched. "Why?" "Because I can feel your grief, but I don't understand it. If she rejected you so cruelly, why does losing her still hurt this much?" Harold was silent for a long moment, his eyes distant. Finally, her name was Celeste. She was radiant, an alpha from the Northern Territories, powerful and beautiful and completely out of my league. His laugh was bitter. "The moon goddess has a twisted sense of humor. What happened? We met at a treaty negotiation. The mate bond snapped into place the moment our eyes met. Instant, undeniable, consuming. I thought she felt it too, the way she looked at me, the way she smiled." He stopped, swallowing hard. "I was wrong." Nessa squeezed his hand gently, offering silent comfort. "She pulled me aside that night," he continued, his voice barely above a whisper. "Looked me in the eyes and said, 'I don't want this. I don't want you. I have someone I actually love waiting for me at home.' Then she rejected the bond, completely, publicly the next day, in front of both courts. She had someone else." Nessa's voice sharpened. "Then why did the moon—" "I don't know." The words burst from him. "I've asked myself that question 10,000 times. Why bond me to someone who could never love me? Why make me need someone who found me repulsive?" His free hand fisted in the sheets. "The rejection nearly killed me on the spot. Would have, if the royal healers hadn't stabilized me. But they couldn't fix the bond. Can't fix what's been shattered." Nessa felt his pain like shards of glass in her chest. The humiliation, the confusion, the devastating loss of something he'd never truly had. "You loved her," she said softly. "Even after everything." "No." His eyes met hers, fierce and honest. "I loved the idea of her. The dream of having a mate, a partner, someone who chose me. But I never knew the real Celeste. She made sure of that." He paused. "These past 2 years dying slowly, I've had time to understand something. I'm not mourning her. I'm mourning what should have been, the life the moon promised and then destroyed." "That's why the pain won't stop," Nessa realized. "You're not just grieving a person, you're grieving destiny itself." Smart little empath. His thumb traced circles on her palm. "See why I needed you? You understand." Their eyes held, and Nessa felt something dangerous stirring between them. Not the mate bond, that was dead, severed by Celeste's rejection, but something else, something built on shared pain and honest moments, and the simple fact that for the first time in years, neither of them was alone. "I should go," she said, even though everything in her screamed to stay. "Check on my brother. Eat something. Rest." "Your brother." Harold's expression shifted to concern. "I felt that worry in you. He's ill?" "Chronic. Since birth." She looked away. "The village healers say there's nothing they can do. His lungs are weak, his body fragile. Every winter I'm terrified he won't survive it." "Bring him here." She blinked. "What?" "To the palace. The royal physicians are the best in the realm, if anyone can help him." He stopped as she started shaking her head. "I can't afford. You're helping me." His voice was firm, royal command bleeding through despite his weakness. "That's payment enough. Bring your brother to the palace. Let us try to save him while you're saving me." Tears burned in Nessa's eyes. "Why are you being kind to me?" "Because you're being kind to me." He said it like it was simple, obvious. "And because I can feel how much he means to you, how you'd trade your own life for his without hesitation." His hand tightened on hers. "Let me help, Nessa. Please. I've felt powerless for so long. Let me do this one good thing." She wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain the professional distance between healer and patient. But she could feel his sincerity through their connection, his desperate need to be useful, to matter, to save someone even as he was dying. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay. I'll bring Elian." His smile transformed his face, the first real smile she'd seen from him. Despite the pain, despite everything, it was beautiful. "Rest now," she said gently. "I'll come back this evening. And Harold?" She met his eyes. "Thank you." "Thank you," he countered. "For giving me something I haven't had in years." "What's that?" "Hope." Elian arrived at the palace 3 days later, wide-eyed and trembling in Nessa's arms. At 12 years old, he looked half that, too small, too pale, every breath a visible struggle. "You're sure about this?" he whispered, as servants led them through marble corridors. "Kings don't just help people like us. This one does." Nessa squeezed his hand gently, feeling his fear and wonder through their sibling bond, a pale echo of her empathic gift, but strong enough. "Trust me." The royal physicians swept Elian away immediately, their faces grave but determined. Marcus promised they'd do everything possible, that the king himself had ordered it. And Nessa believed him, because she could feel Harold even from 3 floors away, his presence like a beacon calling her back. She found him in the gardens instead of his chambers, sitting beneath an ancient oak tree. He looked marginally better, still too thin, still in pain, but upright, moving, living. "You're out of bed," she said, unable to hide her surprise. "Because of you." He gestured to the bench beside him. "Every hour you're near, I get stronger. The moment you leave, it starts again." His forest-green eyes met hers. "I'm tethered to you now, Nessa. Your gift is the only thing keeping me alive." She sat slowly, processing that. "That's not sustainable. I can't stay by your side every moment." "I know." His hand found hers automatically, and relief flooded through both of them as the connection settled into place. "But for now, let me be selfish. Let me pretend I'm not dying." They sat in comfortable silence, the garden peaceful around them. Nessa felt his emotions like a gentle tide now, no longer the drowning waves of agony, but something manageable, almost peaceful. "Tell me about your life," Harold said suddenly. "Before all this, before empathy and dying kings." It was simple, quiet. She smiled softly. "I grew herbs, delivered babies, set broken bones. Elian and I lived in a cottage by the river. We'd fish in summer, tell stories by the fire in winter. Nothing grand or important. It sounds perfect. It was lonely. The admission slipped out before she could stop it. Being an empath means feeling everyone's emotions, but never being able to connect with them. They're afraid of me. Afraid I'll see their secrets, judge their feelings. She looked down at their joined hands. I've spent my whole life surrounded by people and completely alone. Not anymore. His thumb stroked over her knuckles, and the simple touch sent warmth through her. I see you, Nessa. Every broken piece, every beautiful part, and I'm not afraid. You should be. Her voice was barely a whisper. Getting close to me means I'll feel everything. Your pain, your grief, my growing feelings for you. He tilted her chin up gently, making her meet his eyes. Yes, I know you can feel those too, just like I can feel yours. Her breath caught. Harold. I'm not asking for anything. His voice was rough with emotion. I'm dying, Nessa. I have no right to want you, to feel this connection growing between us, but I do. And lying about it seems cruel when we can both feel the truth. She could feel it, his longing, his guilt, his desperate hope that maybe, somehow, they could have something real before the end came. And beneath it all, his certainty that he was being selfish, that she deserved better than a dying king who could offer her nothing but borrowed time. I feel it too, she admitted, her voice shaking. This pull between us. It's not the mate bond that died with Celeste's rejection. But it's something. Something real. He pressed his forehead to hers. Something we're choosing. That makes it more dangerous. She closed her eyes, breathing him in, pine and rain, and something uniquely Harold. If I let myself care for you, if we build something real, and then you die? He finished gently. I know. It's not fair to ask you to feel that loss, to invest in something with an expiration date. They sat there, foreheads touching, both feeling the impossible situation through their shared connection. The growing love neither wanted to name. The time running out like sand through fingers. What if we're greedy anyway? Nessa whispered. What if we take what time we have and make it matter? His breath hitched. You'd do that. Choose me, knowing how it ends. I've spent my whole life avoiding connection because feeling others' pain hurt too much. She pulled back to look at him properly. But your pain, Harold? Carrying it with you? That doesn't feel like suffering. It feels like purpose. Something broke open in his expression. Hope and heartbreak and love tangled together so tightly she couldn't tell where one ended and another began. I don't deserve you, he said roughly. Maybe not. She smiled through tears. But you have me anyway. He kissed her then, soft and careful and achingly tender. And through their connection, Nessa felt something impossible. His pain receding not just to manageable, but to distant. As if her presence, her choice, her freely given affection was healing him in ways her empathic gift alone never could. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, she whispered, Did you feel that? Yes. His eyes were wide with wonder. Nessa, what if the answer isn't just about absorbing my pain? What if healing me requires something more? Like what? His hand cradled her face with infinite gentleness. Like choosing to love someone the moon didn't choose for me. Like building a bond based on truth instead of destiny. Before she could respond, a servant appeared, breathless. Your Majesty, Miss Nessa, it's her brother. The physicians need her immediately. They ran. Elian was seizing when they burst into the medical wing. 3 physicians held him down as his small body convulsed, his lips turning blue, his eyes rolling back. Nessa's empath gift slammed into the wall of his terror and pain, nearly dropping her to her knees. "Let me through!" She shoved past them, her hands finding Elian's face. I'm here, breathe with me." Her gift flooded out instinctively, absorbing his panic, his pain, the sensation of his lungs failing. The seizure slowed, then stopped, leaving him gasping and trembling in her arms. "What happened?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "His body rejected the initial treatment," the head physician said grimly. "His lungs are worse than we thought. The damage is too extensive. Miss Nessa, I'm sorry, but no." The word came from Harold, who'd followed her in. His voice carried absolute authority despite his weakened state. "There has to be something. Another treatment, a specialist, anything." "Your Majesty, we've tried everything in our arsenal. The boy's condition is beyond our ability to—" "Then find someone whose ability isn't limited." Harold's eyes flashed with fury and desperation. "I don't care if you have to search every corner of this kingdom. You will not give up on him." The physicians bowed and hurried out, leaving Nessa alone with Harold and her unconscious brother. She held Elian close, feeling his fragile heartbeat, his labored breathing, the weakness in his small frame. "He's all I have," she whispered. "If he dies—" "He won't." Harold knelt beside them, his hand settling on her shoulder. "I swear to you, Nessa, we'll find a way." She wanted to believe him, wanted to have faith. But she could feel Elian's life force flickering like a candle in a storm, growing weaker with each passing moment. "Take some of his pain," Harold said quietly. "I can feel it overwhelming you. Let me help carry it." "You can't. You're barely—" "I'm stronger when you're near. You know that." His hand covered hers on Elian's chest. "We're connected. Remember. That means your burdens are mine too." The moment their hands touched, something remarkable happened. Her gift, which had always been a solitary thing, suddenly had a second channel. She felt Harold's strength flowing into her, bolstering her, allowing her to absorb more of Elian's suffering without breaking under the weight. They stayed like that for hours, her gift soothing Elian's pain, Harold's presence keeping her anchored. At some point, servants brought food they didn't eat, and blankets they barely noticed. The world narrowed to the 3 of them, bound together by necessity and something deeper. "Why are you doing this?" Nessa asked as night fell, and Elian finally slept peacefully. "You barely know us. You're dying yourself. Why spend your remaining strength on a boy you've never met?" Harold's eyes held hers in the dim light. "Because he matters to you. And you." He paused, seeming to gather courage. "You've become essential to me, Nessa. Not just because your gift keeps me alive, but because for the first time in 2 years, I remember what it feels like to care about something beyond my own suffering." "Harold, let me finish." His hand cupped her cheek. "I know this is complicated. I know I have no right to feel this way about you when I'm dying, when you're here out of compassion and duty, but I can't help it. You've reminded me what it means to be human instead of just a dying king." Through their connection, she felt the depth of his feelings, not the desperate obsession of a dying man clinging to hope, but something genuine and growing, admiration for her strength, tenderness toward her devotion to Elian, desire mixed with respect, and underneath it all, the terrifying realization that he was falling in love with her. "I feel it too," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "This thing growing between us. It scares me because I know how it ends. You're dying, Harold. Every moment I spend with you is a moment closer to losing you. Then maybe we shouldn't waste them being afraid. He leaned closer, his forehead touching hers. Maybe we should be greedy. Take what time we have and make it count. And when you die, when I have to feel you slip away through this connection we've built. Tears streaked down her face. It will destroy me. Or maybe it won't. His thumb brushed away her tears. Maybe loving me, being loved by me, will be worth the pain that comes after. Maybe some things are worth breaking for. She wanted to argue, wanted to protect her heart, but she could feel his sincerity through their bond, his desperate need to mean something to someone before the end came. I'm already half in love with you, she confessed, and it terrifies me. His smile was sad and beautiful. Good. I'd hate to be terrified alone. They sat there in the medical wing, Elian sleeping between them, and let themselves acknowledge the impossible truth. They were falling for each other despite every reason not to, building something real in the shadow of death. And when Harold leaned in to kiss her, soft and careful and achingly tender, Nessa let him. Let herself have this moment of connection, of choice, of love freely given, even when fate had offered them nothing. Tomorrow, they'd fight for Elian's life. Tomorrow, they'd face the reality of Harold's condition and the time running out. But tonight, in the quiet darkness, they were just two broken souls choosing each other. And somehow, that felt like healing. Morning brought a miracle and a nightmare in equal measure. The miracle, a traveling healer from the eastern provinces, arrived with knowledge of Elian's specific condition. Rare, she said, but treatable with the right herbs and time. He would live. The nightmare arrived an hour later, announced by trumpets and formal procession. Lady Celeste of the Northern Territories had returned. Nessa felt Harold's reaction before she saw his face, a slam of shock, grief, and something close to panic through their connection. She found him in the throne room, standing rigid as a ghost from his past swept through the doors. Celeste was everything the rumors claimed, tall, powerful, radiating alpha dominance. Her silver hair cascaded like moonlight, her ice-blue eyes sharp as blades, beautiful in a way that made Nessa feel small and ordinary. Harold, Celeste's voice carried through the hall. I've come home. Home. Harold's voice was dangerously soft. You rejected me, publicly destroyed our bond, and left me to die. You don't get to call this home. I made a mistake. She moved closer, and courtiers whispered. I was young, foolish. I didn't understand what I was throwing away until it was gone. Her eyes softened. A masterful performance. I want to try again. To accept the bond, heal you, be the mate I should have been from the beginning. Nessa's heart plummeted. Through their connection, she felt Harold's turmoil, hope warring with suspicion, the desperate need to believe he could be healed warring with the knowledge of what Celeste had done. The bond is dead, Harold said. You can't just resurrect it because you changed your mind. The moon goddess is forgiving. Celeste's smile was practiced perfection. If we both choose to accept it, to rebuild what was broken, the ancient texts say it's possible. I've spent 2 years researching, Harold. I can save you. Silence fell like snow. Every eye in the room turned to Harold, waiting. Nessa wanted to run, wanted to disappear before she had to watch him choose his fated mate over the healer who'd only ever been a temporary solution. But she couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but feel his confusion and pain and terrible, awful hope through their connection. I need time, Harold said finally. This is not a decision I can make in a moment. Of course. Celeste's eyes flickered to Nessa then, dismissive and cold. Take all the time you need. I'll be waiting. She swept out, leaving chaos in her wake. The moment the doors closed, Harold's knees buckled. Nessa caught him, her gift flooding out to ease the spike of agony that came with his distress. They stumbled to a private antechamber, away from curious eyes. I can't. I don't. His words fractured. How is she here? Why now? I don't know. Nessa held him, absorbing his panic. But Harold, if she can really heal you, do you want me to accept her? His eyes blazed, searching hers. Is that what you're saying? I want you to live. The words burst from her. I want you to have a chance, even if it means... Her voice broke. Even if it means losing you to her. Nessa, no, listen. She cupped his face, forcing him to see her. I knew from the beginning this was temporary, that I was just keeping you alive until a real solution appeared. Well, here it is, your fated mate offering to restore your bond. That's what you need. What I need. He grabbed her wrists, holding her hands against his face. You think that's what I need? To go back to someone who shattered me? To rebuild a bond with a woman who looked me in the eyes and said I was worthless? She was young. She made a mistake. And you? His voice turned fierce. What are you? A mistake too? Something to discard the moment my original mate decides to return? I'm a healer. She pulled away, wrapping her arms around herself. That's all I've ever been. A temporary solution until you're everything. The raw honesty in his voice stopped her cold. These past weeks, Nessa, you've been everything. Not just the gift that keeps me alive, but you. Your strength, your compassion, the way you see me as human instead of just a dying king. The way you chose me despite knowing how it would end. But if she can actually save you, I don't trust her. He said it flatly. I can feel your doubt through our connection, and I share it. Why return now? Why, after 2 years of silence, does she suddenly want to restore a bond she called a curse? Nessa had wondered the same thing. Celeste's performance had been too smooth, too practiced. Her ice-blue eyes had held calculation, not love. What are you going to do? She asked quietly. I don't know. He moved to the window, staring out at gardens where they'd shared their first kiss days ago. If there's even a chance she's telling the truth, don't I owe it to my kingdom to try? To my people who need a healthy king? And what about what you need? The question slipped out before she could stop it. He turned, and the look in his forest-green eyes made her heart crack. What I need is standing right here, terrified that I'm going to choose duty over her. Harold. But you're right. His voice turned hollow. If there's a chance to truly heal, to restore the bond the moon intended, I have to at least try. I have to know if it's real. He crossed to her, tilting her chin up. Even if it destroys me to lose you. You're not losing me. She blinked back tears. I'll still be here, still helping however I can, as my healer. His laugh was broken. After everything we've shared, everything we've become to each other, you think I can go back to seeing you as just my healer? Then what do you want me to be? The question hung between them, impossible and painful. Before he could answer, Marcus appeared in the doorway. Your Majesty, Lady Celeste is requesting a private audience. She says she has proof of her claims about the bond restoration. Harold's jaw clenched. Through their connection, Nessa felt his conflict, duty warring with desire, hope fighting suspicion, the desperate need to live balanced against the certainty that accepting Celeste meant losing Nessa. Tell her I'll meet her in an hour. He waited until Marcus left, then turned back to Nessa. "Come with me. When I hear her proof, I want you there. Your gift will tell us if she's lying." "You want me to read her emotions?" "I want you beside me." He took her hand. "Whatever happens, whatever I decide, I want you to know the truth. No secrets between us. That's what we promised, remember?" She nodded, throat too tight for words. But as they walked toward the throne room where Celeste waited with her silver smile and calculated tears, Nessa couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to shatter. And this time, her gift wouldn't be enough to hold the pieces together. Celeste laid out her evidence with the precision of a general planning battle. Ancient texts describing bond restoration, testimonies from healers who'd witnessed it, a ritual that required both mates to willingly accept the bond again under the full moon, 3 nights away. "It won't be easy," Celeste said, her voice soft with manufactured regret. "The ritual requires complete openness, total vulnerability from both parties. But Harold, I'm ready. I've spent 2 years understanding what I threw away. I want to make this right." Nessa stood beside Harold's throne, her hand resting on his shoulder, feeling everything through their connection. And what she felt from Celeste made her blood run cold. Nothing. Not guilt. Not love. Not even mild affection. Just cold calculation and something darker. Anticipation. Like a predator watching prey walk into a trap. "She's lying," Nessa whispered to Harold, so quietly only he could hear. "I can feel it. Whatever she wants, it's not to heal you." His hand covered hers on his shoulder, squeezing once. Acknowledgement. But then he spoke to Celeste. "I need time to consider this. The ritual you describe could save your life." Celeste stepped closer. "Harold, you're dying. Everyone can see it. Do you really want to waste your remaining days being stubborn when salvation is right here?" "Salvation?" Nessa's voice cut through before she could stop herself. "You rejected him, destroyed him, left him to suffer for 2 years. And now you show up with convenient evidence and expect— And who are you?" Celeste's ice-blue eyes turned on her, sharp as knives. "The little Omega healer playing nursemaid? How sweet." Her smile was venomous. "But this is between mates, dear. Fated bonds transcend whatever arrangement you have with my king." "Your king?" Nessa's temper flared. "You abandoned him." "Enough." Harold's voice carried royal authority. "Celeste, I'll give you my answer tomorrow. Until then, you're dismissed." Celeste's mask slipped for just a moment. A flash of irritation quickly smoothed away. "Of course, my king. I'll await your decision." She swept out, leaving heavy silence behind. The moment the doors closed, Harold slumped. "You felt it? The lie? She doesn't want to heal you. She wants something else. I just don't know what." Nessa moved to stand before him. "Harold, you can't trust her." "I know." His eyes met hers, filled with anguish. "But Nessa, what if there's even a kernel of truth in what she said? What if bond restoration is possible, and I let pride or suspicion stop me from trying? It's not pride to protect yourself from someone who already broke you once. No, but it's selfishness to choose you over my kingdom's needs." The words hit like physical blows. "If I die, the succession falls to my cousin, a weak-willed fool who'll destroy everything in months. My people need me alive. Don't they deserve for me to try every possible solution, even if it means choosing her over me?" Nessa finished, voice hollow. "Say it. That's what you mean." "That's not—" He stood, reaching for her, but she stepped back. "You're right, though. Your kingdom does need you. And if she can actually heal you—" Tears burned her eyes. "Then I'm being selfish, trying to keep you to myself when I was only ever temporary." You were never temporary to me." His voice broke. "Nessa, these weeks with you, you've become essential. Not just your gift, but you. Your strength, your laugh, the way you see the world. I've fallen for you in ways I never fell for Celeste, mate bond or not. But the bond is what matters." She wrapped her arms around herself. "It's destiny, divine will, everything you're supposed to want. And I'm just the woman I choose." He closed the distance between them, his hands framing her face. "That has to count for something." "Does it?" She met his eyes. "Because I can feel your conflict, Harold. I can feel you trying to choose between duty and desire, between what you should do and what you want to do. And it's tearing you apart." Through their connection, she felt his turmoil, the desperate love he had for her, warring with guilt about his kingdom, his need to live fighting his distrust of Celeste, his heart pulling him toward Nessa while his mind screamed about responsibility. "I don't know what to do," he confessed, his forehead dropping to hers. "I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to die either, and I don't want to fail my people because I was too scared or too stubborn to try." "Then try." The words tore from her throat. "Meet with her. Attempt the ritual. If it works, you live. Your kingdom gets its king, and I—" Her voice cracked. "I'll know I helped save you, even if it cost me everything. And if it doesn't work, if she's lying, if this is some trap, then you'll have your answer." She pulled back to look at him properly. "But Harold, you have to be honest with yourself. Is your hesitation about the ritual or about having to choose between us?" The question hung heavy between them. "Both," he admitted finally. "I don't trust Celeste, but I'm also terrified that if the ritual works, if the mate bond restores, I'll lose what we have, that the moon's will would override my own choice. Maybe that's how it should be." She smiled sadly. "Maybe fate knows better than we do." "I don't believe that." His hands tightened on her face. "Fate gave me a mate who rejected me and left me to die. You chose me, freely, knowing exactly what it would cost. That means more than any bond the moon could forge." "Harold." He kissed her then, desperate and passionate and achingly tender all at once, pouring everything he felt through their connection. His love for her, his fear of losing her, his fury at the impossible choice fate had handed him. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he whispered, "Give me 3 days. Let me investigate Celeste's claims, understand what this ritual actually requires. And then whatever I decide, I'll choose with full knowledge. No more running from duty or desire. Just an honest choice." 3 days. She nodded, even as her heart cracked. Because they both knew what his choice would have to be. Duty always won over desire. Kingdoms always mattered more than healers. "I love you," he said suddenly fiercely. "I need you to know that. Whatever happens, whatever I choose, I love you, Nessa. The real you. Not some destined mate version. You. I love you too." The confession felt like goodbye. "That's why I'll understand when you choose her." But as she left him there in the throne room, walking away from the man she loved toward an uncertain future, Nessa couldn't shake one certainty. Celeste was planning something dark and dangerous. And Nessa had 3 days to figure out what before it destroyed them all. Nessa found the truth in the archives at midnight on the 2nd day. She'd been searching desperately through ancient texts, trying to understand bond restoration, when she found a journal tucked behind dusty volumes. The handwriting was feminine, elegant, dated 3 years ago. Celeste's journal. Her hands shook as she read. "The Northern Alliance requires Shadowpine's territory. Marriage to their king would secure it peacefully, but he'd never agree to conquest. So, we create a different path. Bond with him as fated mates. Reject him publicly to trigger rejection sickness. Wait until he's desperate enough to accept any solution. Then, restore the bond through the ancient ritual, which conveniently requires him to open his mind completely, making him vulnerable to mental manipulation. Once I have access to his thoughts, his will becomes mine. The kingdom falls without a single sword drawn. Nessa's blood turned to ice. It wasn't healing, it was a trap. Celeste planned to use the ritual to take control of Harold's mind, turn him into a puppet, and hand Shadowpine to her northern allies. She ran. Through corridors, upstairs, her heart hammering. She had to warn him. Had to stop this before... She burst into Harold's chambers and froze. Celeste was there, standing too close, her hand on his chest. And Harold was swaying, his eyes unfocused, his skin pale. "What did you do?" Nessa's voice was deadly quiet. Celeste smiled. "Just a little something to help him see reason, a mild sedative in his wine. Nothing that will harm him, yet, but it makes him so much more agreeable. You poisoned him? I'm preparing him." Celeste's ice-blue eyes glittered with malice. "The ritual tomorrow requires him to be open, vulnerable. This simply speeds the process along. By the time the full moon rises, he'll be so weak he won't be able to resist the mental binding." Nessa's gift flared out instinctively, slamming into Harold's consciousness. She felt the drug in his system, the way it was dampening his thoughts, making him pliant, and underneath it, his desperate fight to stay aware, to resist. Nessa, his thoughts reached her through their connection. "Don't let her. Can't fight. Get away from him." Nessa moved between them, her body shaking with rage and fear. "Or what?" Celeste laughed. "You're an Omega healer. I'm an Alpha warrior. You think you can stop me? I think I can make you feel every ounce of pain you've caused him." Nessa's gift erupted outward, not to absorb but to project, slamming 2 years of Harold's rejection sickness, his heartbreak, his agony directly into Celeste's mind. Celeste screamed, dropping to her knees. "Stop! What are you?" "Every moment he spent dying because of you." Nessa's voice was thunder. "Every night he lay awake feeling his bond torn apart. Every second of suffering. Feel it. All of it." Guards burst in, responding to Celeste's screams. But Marcus was with them, and his eyes took in the scene. Celeste writhing on the floor, Nessa standing protective over a drugged king, the journal clutched in her hand. "Read it," Nessa commanded, shoving the journal at Marcus. "Read what she planned." As Marcus read, his face went white. Other guards crowded around, reading over his shoulder. The truth spread through the room like wildfire. "Treason," Marcus breathed. "She planned to enslave the king's mind, take the kingdom." "Lies!" Celeste gasped, struggling to her feet as Nessa finally released her from the projected pain. "That Omega is manipulating you all." "No." Harold's voice, weak but clear. Nessa had been working frantically through their connection to purge the drug from his system, and he was fighting back to consciousness. I felt it. "Through Nessa, your hatred, your calculation, she's telling the truth. You're under her spell. I'm under no one's spell." Harold stood, swaying but determined. "Not yours. Not anymore. Guards, arrest Lady Celeste for treason and attempted assassination of the king." As guards dragged a screaming Celeste away, Harold collapsed. Nessa caught him, her gift flooding out to support him, to purge the remaining poison, to hold him together. "I've got you," she whispered. "I've got you. You saved me." His hand found her face weakly. Again. Always. Rest now. We'll talk when... No. He forced his eyes to stay open, to meet hers. I need to say this now, while I still can, while you can feel that it's truth through our connection. Harold, I choose you. The words were fierce despite his weakness. Not because you saved me from Celeste, not because your gift keeps me alive. I choose you because you see me, because you stand between me and death without hesitation, because you make me want to fight for every moment, not just survive them. But you're still dying. Tears streaked down her face. The rejection sickness. Without the ritual, then I die, loving you. His thumb brushed away her tears. Die as myself, with my mind my own, my choices my own. Isn't that better than living as someone's puppet? No. The word burst from her. No. You don't get to give up. You don't get to just accept death when When you what? When I love you too much to let you go. She pressed her forehead to his. There has to be another way. There has to be. Through their connection, she felt it then. Not just his love for her, but something deeper. The way her gift had been slowly, steadily healing the ragged edges of his broken bond. Not restoring what Celeste had destroyed, but building something new, something that belonged only to them. Harold, she whispered, what if we've been thinking about this wrong? What if you don't need to restore the old bond? What if we could build a new one? His eyes widened. Is that possible? I don't know. She pressed her hand over his heart, feeling it beat steady and strong beneath her palm. But our connection, it's more than just my gift absorbing your pain. I can feel it growing, deepening, becoming something real, something that might be strong enough to replace what was broken. A chosen bond instead of a fated one. Wonder filled his voice. Nessa, if you're right, then we need to act fast. She helped him stand. Because the full moon is tomorrow night, and if we're going to forge a new bond, we need to do it before your body gives up completely. He steadied himself against her, and through their connection she felt his determination, his hope, his absolute faith in her. Then let's rewrite destiny, he said. Together. And for the first time since this began, Nessa believed they might actually survive. The ancient bonding grove lay deep in the royal forest, untouched for generations. Marcus led them there as the full moon rose, carrying texts that spoke of bonds formed not by fate, but by choice. The moon goddess recognizes 3 types of bonds, Marcus explained as they walked. Fated bonds, chosen by her. Forced bonds, created through dark magic. And true bonds, the rarest of all, forged through genuine love and mutual sacrifice. How do we create one? Nessa asked, supporting Harold as he stumbled. The rejection sickness was accelerating, his body knowing instinctively that the full moon should have brought healing through Celeste's ritual. Instead, it was killing him faster. The texts are unclear. Marcus spread the ancient pages on a stone altar. But they mention a joining of souls, a complete opening of both parties to each other, total vulnerability, absolute trust. That's what we already have. Harold's voice was weak, but certain. Through her gift, we've been building this bond since the moment she first touched me. Nessa felt the truth of it through their connection. Every moment she'd absorbed his pain, every time he'd anchored her when emotions overwhelmed her, every instant of honesty and vulnerability, they'd been weaving a bond without even realizing it. Then we just need to complete it, she said, helping him to the center of the grove where moonlight pooled like silver water. Make it official. Make it permanent. Marcus withdrew to give them privacy, leaving them alone beneath the full moon. Harold took both her hands, swaying but determined. I need you to know. If this doesn't work, if I die anyway, you won't. She squeezed his hands. I won't let you. We've come too far, fought too hard. I'm not losing you now. Stubborn healer. His smile was soft, loving. What did I do to deserve you? You saw me. She stepped closer, their bodies nearly touching. When everyone else saw a curse, you saw a gift. When everyone else was afraid of me, you asked me to stay close. You made me feel human instead of just a vessel for everyone else's emotions. You did the same for me. He pressed his forehead to hers, made me feel like a man instead of just a dying king. The moonlight intensified around them, responding to their words, their truth. Through their connection, Nessa felt the moment the ritual recognized them, not as strangers seeking a bond, but as souls who'd already chosen each other 100 times over. I love you, Harold said, his voice steady despite his weakness. Not because fate demands it, but because you're brave and compassionate, and you make me want to be better. I love you for staying when anyone else would have run, for fighting for me when I'd given up fighting for myself. I love you, Nessa answered, tears streaming down her face. For your strength in weakness, your kindness in pain, your refusal to let suffering make you cruel. I love you for trusting me with your broken pieces and never making me feel broken for having my own. The air between them began to shimmer with silver gold light. Not the harsh flash of a fated bond snapping into place, but a gentle glow that built slowly, steadily, born from every moment they'd shared. I claim you, Harold said, the ancient words rising from some instinct deeper than memory. Not as my destiny, but as my choice. I choose you, Nessa, with full knowledge of who you are. I choose your gift and your burdens, your strength and your fears. I choose all of you, freely and completely. I claim you, Nessa echoed, feeling the words resonate through her soul. Not because the moon demanded it, but because my heart does. I choose you, Harold. Broken bond and all. I choose your pain and your healing, your darkness and your light. I choose all of you, willingly and eternally. The light exploded outward, not painful but overwhelming. Every wall between them dissolved, every barrier crumbled. Nessa felt herself pouring into him, her memories, her emotions, her very essence, while he flooded into her in return. She felt his childhood loneliness, the weight of a crown given too young. She felt the moment Celeste's rejection had torn through him. But she also felt every moment since they'd met, every time her presence had eased his pain, every instance of growing love, every second of hope she'd rekindled. And he felt her. The years of isolation, carrying others' emotions with no one to carry hers. The terror of watching Elian suffer. The desperate loneliness of being needed but never wanted. Until Harold had looked at her gift as blessing instead of curse. The bond settled into place like puzzle pieces, finding their match. Not replacing the broken, fated bond, transforming it into something new, something stronger, because it was chosen. Harold gasped, his eyes going wide. The pain, it's gone. Nessa, the rejection sickness. The bond is complete. She felt it too, the ragged wound in his soul sealed, healed, replaced by the shimmering thread of their true bond. You're not dying anymore. He pulled her close, kissing her with desperate relief and overwhelming love. Through their new bond, she felt everything he felt, the joy, the disbelief, the absolute certainty that this was right in a way nothing else had ever been. When they finally broke apart, both breathless and laughing through tears, the moonlight had settled into a gentle glow around them, the moon goddess's blessing on a bond she hadn't chosen but clearly approved of. "How do you feel?" Nessa asked, scanning him with both her eyes and her gift. His color was better, his breathing steady, his life force burning bright instead of flickering. "Alive." He spun her once, making her laugh. "For the first time in 2 years, I feel alive, whole, like I'm supposed to be here." "You are." She cupped his face, marveling at the change. "You're supposed to be exactly here with me." "With you." He pressed a kiss to her palm. "My true mate. My chosen one." Through their bond, she felt his future plans unfurling, making her his queen, not his concubine, building a life together, growing old together, something he'd thought impossible days ago. "What about Celeste?" she asked. "The Northern Alliance?" "Will face justice." His voice hardened. "She attempted to enslave a king's mind. The Northern Territories will answer for their conspiracy. But that's tomorrow's concern." He pulled her close again. "Tonight, I just want to hold my mate and remember what it feels like to have a future." They stayed in the grove until dawn, wrapped in each other and moonlight, their bond humming contentedly between them. And when they finally returned to the palace, hand in hand, everyone who saw them knew the dying king was healed, and the kingdom had a queen. 3 months later, the palace gardens bloomed with life that matched the transformation within its walls. Nessa stood at the window of what was now their shared chambers, watching Elian race through the flower beds with other children. The Eastern healer's treatment had worked miracles. Her brother's cheeks were pink, his laughter loud and bright, his lungs strong enough to run without gasping. "He's getting mud everywhere," Harold said, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind. "The head gardener is going to have words with our future prince." "Let him complain." She leaned back against him, feeling his warmth, his strength, his life force burning steady and bright through their bond. "Elian deserves to be a child after spending so long being sick." "Agreed." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "Though we may need to expand the gardens if he keeps recruiting more friends to his mud army." She laughed, turning in his arms to face him properly. Even after 3 months, seeing him healthy still made her breath catch. Color in his cheeks, muscle returned to his frame, those forest green eyes bright with life and mischief instead of pain. "What are you thinking?" he asked, feeling her emotion shift through their bond. "That I almost lost you." She touched his face gently. "That Celeste almost succeeded in, but she didn't." He caught her hand, pressing it over his heart where their bond thrummed between them. "You stopped her. You saved me. And now she's facing Northern justice for her conspiracy. Her allies are scattered, and our kingdom is stronger than ever." It was true. Celeste's trial had revealed the full extent of the Northern Alliance's plot. Her imprisonment had sparked political upheaval that left their enemies in disarray. And Shadowpine, under Harold's renewed leadership and Nessa's compassionate influence, had flourished. "The Healer Queen," Harold murmured, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "That's what they're calling you now. The Omega who saved their king and opened the palace healing halls to all who need them." Nessa had done exactly that. Her gift, once something she'd hidden, was now used openly to train other empaths, to heal those suffering emotional wounds. The palace had become a refuge for those the world had overlooked. "Speaking of which," she said, "I have a consultation this afternoon. a young empath from the eastern provinces who's struggling to control her gift. "You're changing lives, Nessa." His pride flowed through their bond, warm and golden. "Not just mine, but hundreds of others who thought their gifts were curses. Because you showed me mine wasn't." She kissed him softly. "You gave me a place where I could be myself completely. We gave each other that." He rested his forehead against hers. "Every day, I wake up grateful the moon goddess's plan failed. Grateful I got to choose you instead." Through their bond, she felt his absolute certainty. The fated bond with Celeste would have been a disaster, forced, false, built on manipulation. What they had was real, earned through pain and trust, and choosing each other every single day. A knock interrupted them. Marcus entered with a bow. "Your Majesties, the council is gathered for this afternoon's session, and," he smiled, "there's someone here asking for Queen Nessa specifically, a mother from the western villages. She heard about the healing halls and traveled 3 days to bring her daughter." "I'll be right there." Nessa squeezed Harold's hand once more before following Marcus. The mother was waiting in the healing wing, weathered hands clutching a small girl who couldn't have been more than 6. The child's eyes were distant, overwhelmed, tears streaming silently down her face. "She feels everything," the mother explained desperately. "Every emotion from everyone around her. She can't sleep, can't eat. The village healer said there's nothing to be done, that empaths are just cursed to suffer. But I heard rumors of a queen who understands exactly what your daughter is going through." Nessa knelt before the child, her gift reaching out gently. She felt the little girl's overwhelming flood of emotions, terror, confusion, the desperate need to make it stop. "Hello," Nessa said softly. "My name is Nessa. I'm an empath too, and I promise you, what you're feeling right now, it won't always be this hard." The child's eyes focused on her, desperate with hope. "Really? Really?" Nessa took her small hand. "I'm going to teach you how to build walls, how to control your gift, instead of letting it control you. And when you're older, you'll learn how to use it to help people, to heal them, like you're going to let me help you." Through their touch, she gently demonstrated the technique she'd learned, imagining walls of light, permeable but protective. The child's breathing eased, her tears slowing. "Better?" Nessa asked. The girl nodded, wonder replacing fear. "The voices are quieter." "They'll get even quieter with practice." Nessa looked up at the mother. "She can stay here as long as needed. We have rooms for families, trainers who specialize in empathic gifts. We'll teach her to thrive, not just survive." The mother's tears were relief this time. Thank you, Your Majesty." As Nessa worked with the child through the afternoon, teaching, soothing, showing her the gift could be beautiful instead of painful, she felt Harold's pride through their bond, felt his love, his certainty that this was exactly where she was meant to be, not just his mate, but a beacon for others like her. That evening, after the young empath was settled in her room with her mother, after council meetings and royal duties were complete, Nessa and Harold returned to the gardens where Elian was finally ready to come inside. "Nessa!" Her brother ran to her, muddy and grinning. "Harold said he'd teach me sword work tomorrow. Real swords, not wooden ones." "Wooden ones first," Harold corrected, but he was smiling. "We'll work up to real blades." "He's going to be a terror," Nessa said fondly, ruffling Elian's hair. "My little brother, trained by the king himself." "Our little brother," Harold corrected gently. Through their bond, she felt his hope, that Elien would be the first of many children running through these gardens, that they'd build a family together, fill these halls with life and love. Our little brother, she agreed, warmth flooding through her. As they walked back to the palace together, Harold and Nessa hand in hand, Elien running ahead chattering about sword techniques, the setting sun painted everything gold. Inside, the young empath was learning to control her gift, her mother crying tears of relief. In the dungeons, Celeste faced the consequences of her betrayal. In the kingdom beyond, citizens spoke of their healed king and compassionate queen with genuine love instead of fear. And in Nessa's heart, the bond thrummed with contentment. Not a fated bond forced upon them, but a true bond built through choice and pain and unwavering commitment. Later that night, alone in their chambers, Harold pulled her close. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked quietly. "That you didn't get a normal life? That you're tied to a king, to politics and responsibility?" "Never." She pressed her hand over his heart, feeling their bond pulse between them. "You asked me once what I needed. Remember?" "I remember. You said you needed purpose." "I was wrong." She smiled up at him. "I didn't need purpose. I needed you. Everything else, the healing halls, the students, the kingdom, that's all beautiful. But you, Harold, you're everything." "You saved me," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "In every way a person can be saved." "No," she kissed him softly. "We saved each other. That's what true mates do." And as moonlight streamed through their windows, blessing the bond they'd chosen over destiny, neither of them had any regrets. They'd rewritten fate's plan and built something better, something real, something that would last forever. The end. Epilogue. Whisper. Years later, when young empaths asked Queen Nessa how she'd overcome the curse of her gift, she'd smile and take King Harold's hand. It was never a curse, she'd say. It was a gift waiting for someone worthy to receive it. And she'd squeeze his hand, their bond humming contentedly. "He received all of me, every broken piece, every painful part, and he showed me that the right person doesn't fear your depths. They dive in alongside you." And Harold would add, his forest green eyes warm, "True mates aren't chosen by fate. They're chosen by courage. The courage to be completely vulnerable, completely honest, completely yourself, and trust that you'll be loved anyway." The young empaths would leave inspired, understanding finally that their gifts weren't curses. They were just waiting for someone brave enough to see them clearly, just like Nessa had been waiting for Harold, and just like Harold had been waiting for Nessa. Two broken souls who'd healed each other by choosing love over destiny, and proved that sometimes the bonds we forge ourselves are stronger than anything fate could ever create. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments below. Your support helps me bring more moonlit stories like this to life. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales of wolves, romance, and second chances that refuse to stay buried.